Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the VS Code live stream. Thank you so much for joining. Hello, Finn. Hello, Zohab, Anurub, Badob. Thank you all for joining. I'm so excited to have our guest that's going to be showing up for our stream. But before we do, it is Thursday. Before we bring him up, so I want to kick off our normal routine, our normal segment way of Throwback TikTok Thursday. So, producer, let's go ahead and kick that off.
Coming at you with some more JavaScript weirdness. Would you believe me if I told you that this equals the word banana? Well, it does. The reasoning is because this syntax prints out NaN in the middle of the string, which stands for not a number. But you might be wondering why there's not two A's at the end of the string. Well, the not a number actually comes from the entire ++A portion. We can test that out with concatenating an empty string with ++A, and we get NaN. That's bananas!
Nice. We have a bit more videos on some JavaScript weirdness and a couple of other languages also. So definitely check out our TikTok channel and our shorts there. So now we also, for our guests, put together a short little intro. So I want to go ahead and roll that before we bring them up. So producer, could we roll that now? Teaching programming and web development presents a different challenge than just coding. Instructors must create relevant projects, test them thoroughly, and break them down into digestible pieces so that all engineers, new through senior, understand concepts easily. When we came across Hitesh's channel, we were impressed with his style of teaching and vast library of free content, including in-depth as well as crash courses on JavaScript, TypeScript, Golang, C++, Docker, and even Kubernetes. We're excited that Hitesh accepted our invitation to walk us through how he uses VS Code to teach his millions of students. Nice. So I myself have been an instructor for a few years, so I was really excited to find out that we're going to have Hitesh Choudhary as our guest. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and welcome him. Hitesh.
Hey.
Thank you for joining. How are you?
I'm good. Hey there, everyone. Hope you are doing good as well. It's been a lot of time differences between us, but finally we made it up here. And I'm super excited to be on this channel. And please, before we move forward, everybody, please tweet out this. Please share it on Instagram. Let's call in a lot more developers from all around the globe. And let's enjoy this live stream a bit more in a formal, informal approach.
Nice. By the way, what time zone are you in?
I'm in the beautiful country, India. So I am in Indian time zone.
Okay. And forgive my ignorance, is there only a one time zone in India, or are there several?
Yes, it's only one time zone in India, and it's almost like 9:30 in the night.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I'm excited to see what you got to show us. So what are we going to be chatting about?
First of all, we're going to be chatting about how I use VS Code, because I use it really, really differently from what you have seen in other YouTube videos and TikTok videos, because it's all about top 5 plugins of VS Code, top 5 themes of VS Code. I'm pretty sure you have heard about them.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I am a purist kind of a guy. I actually enjoy VS Code how it is originally. And let me tell you what are the challenges that I face. I have actually prepared a couple of notes for that as well, so that we can discuss it onto pretty much onto a pure basis. So first of all, why I use VS Code the way it is, because I was initially the very early user of Sublime Text. Then I found it a bit boring. Then I moved into Atom, which was fantastic.
Okay.
Then I moved into VS Code within the very early beta launch. I kind of enjoyed it, not because it was fast or something. It is going to be fast. It was like the standard at that time. But why I loved about it is the hackability that is provided in the VS Code. You don't need to be dependent on somebody to create a plugin or somebody to create a theme. the way you like it, it is so much organized. The documentation is nice. I can create whatever I need by my own. And
So
what it
when you're
gives
saying
me,
when you're saying hackability, you're referring to it as a synonym for how extensible it is, how customizable it is, right? So that it serves your purposes.
it can be my VS Code. It's not supposed to be like, hey, I installed this theme and it looks like this. No, I want it to be this way. And it is going to be this way.
Nice. Okay.
So this is one of the thing. And what I have realized, see, what we do is I am majorly a teacher here in India and abroad as well. And what I do is I make projects along with team, of course, and we rip apart those projects so that it's more teachable, understandable by everybody. And what the challenge we face is over the like we make sometimes complex project which includes thousands of files and all of that, and it makes things heavy. Now a lot of tutorial are there which says, in fact, I'm guilty as charged, I have made plenty of them, these are my favorite plugins, these are my favorite themes. But if you unnecessarily install a lot of themes and plugins and forget to remove them while you're working, eventually you'll be saying, hey, VS Code, you know what, is not as fast as it used to be. Now it's a little bit slower. It is not slow. You made it slow by installing 1,000 different things. End of the day, it's just purely an HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The more JavaScript you are going to load, the slower you are going to make it.
Okay. So then let me ask you, if you're careful with the amount of extensions that you add to VS Code, what are like the core few extensions that no matter what, you keep on there because it makes your life simpler?
Yeah, I have a few one, but I keep on changing them. For example, if I'm teaching React, I will have different set of like extensions. But if if I'm learning something like C++ or teaching it out, then I'll have a different set of instruction. But I don't ever forget to remove those React extensions from my system or from VS Code to make it faster, because speed is something. Because you have also recorded a lot of videos. You know how intensive it is on system, that one, there is a recorder, then there is your camera, then there's mic, then the system. It can be exhaustive.
Got it. And it's interesting that you mentioned that. By the way, someone in the chat is mentioning so a few people are mentioning how prettier, prettier. People are like getting all riled up with their own extensions that they want to promote.
Yeah. See,
Um,
one thing I would like to add here is a lot of people install extensions without carefully reading about the README files and what the authors are doing.
mhm.
I can give you one nice example. Like, for example, there is no need to install in the VS Code about bracket color pairizer. It's a default setting in VS Code. You can just enable that setting.
Yeah. So that does happen where some people add these extensions where they didn't even realize that VS Code's already like has that feature built in, right?
Yeah, it's a setting. You just check mark it and done. You don't need any, like, if you would have installed extension, imagine the amount of code that you're bringing in instead of just saying true or just saying check. That's it.
Exactly. Um, with but to circle back to what you just said regarding like not wanting to install too many extensions, it's interesting you mentioned that because just a couple of weeks ago, I believe we've released a feature called Profiles that allows extensions to be available for a particular scenario. So that would kind of like address um, what you're dealing with, so you don't have to like remove them like manually, so
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
actually
I've been waiting for that. And in fact, I caught up with that update as well. And I was super happy that now I can make different profiles for like code programming. For example, you just need one installation for handling C++, Java, pretty much all basic languages. So you can just go with that. And another profile for maybe JavaScript world, because in the JavaScript world, the similar extensions are there, no matter you're coding in React or maybe Node.js, similar extensions are something that you need. And I always try to explore different themes as well. I have my personal theme as well. I published it out. It's a very popular theme. I called it as Teacher Dark.
feature
And
dark.
yeah, Teacher Dark.
Teacher dark. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a pretty, I'll show you that theme. I'm still customizing it. What I like to do is I explore a lot of themes and I try to make them as teacher friendly. I'll show you on my screen as well. What do I mean by a teacher friendly theme? Because when you teach something on VS Code, there are certain things you need to be careful about, because people can get monotonous by looking at your screen and you need to grab their attention. So for that specific hackable purpose, I designed my theme in such a way that user don't have to ask me questions like, hey, can you remind me again which file we are working in, or something like, hey, just excuse me, what's written in that terminal, can you just show it to me? So all these things I have already addressed and answered that.
Got it. Well, I mean, let's go ahead and take a look to see how you make life a lot of how you make like your content a lot more digestible for students. Then,
Yeah, sure. So let me just jump into this one. So this is my screen right now. As you can see, bit of a purist. I don't like to experiment too much on the things around. But again, if I go ahead and open this up, so uh, you can see by the look, I have default extension installed for all these icons up there. But interestingly, let me open up some file here. This is actually a project. Right now, I'm currently teaching freely on YouTube entire playlist of React Native. So I'm teaching people how to build 10 apps absolutely free on YouTube.
okay.
And this is the third app that we are building. Now notice here into the app.tsx. Now this is the color themes and code. Notice here first is the comment. I
Mm-hmm.
have customized it and made it a little bit more highlight because the default comments in the theme are not that visible. And for teaching purposes, the comments are really, really important. So I want to make them bit highlight. But
Mm-hmm.
for the coding purposes, you want to make them bit grayish that, yeah, they are there. If somebody wants to read them, they can read it. But for teaching purpose, the comments are really important. People should be reading them. So I made it more highlighted. And I'll show you how I did that. It's just a few lines of code. Not
Okay.
only that, if I scroll, notice here, next video, pretty easy pop.
Nice.
So what I did is I installed extension which says as to do highlight, but I was not happy with the default what it provides.
Uh
So
huh.
I added a layer on top of it that, hey, these are important keywords for me, and this is how the way they should look like.
Got
I'll show
it.
you how I did that. Not only that, if I go ahead and use, hey, this is going to be your assignment, something like this, you get a color highlight.
Wow. Okay. Cool. By the way, let me add one comment for the viewers. So, for everyone that's watching, it's really, I would say, important to be listening to like some of the suggestions that he's making, because even if you're just a student, one of the things that I've always like recommended to people that are wanting to like learn how to code is to yourself as you're learning, do a video teaching what you learned, because that would like reinforce it even more. So like the tips that Hitesh is giving right now is going to be useful for you if you actually try to teach something yourself for the end purposes of just becoming a better educated student. I just want to put
Absolutely.
that in there.
I, I 100% agree with you. In fact, in some of my earlier days boot camp, like 3 or 4 years ago, there was this batch which I took. Only students from France they came in, and I got them so much excited about VS Code that I never showed them how I did this. I just said that I'm making you a little bit more curious about it. Now you go ahead and you make it. For the entire day, they spent so much time with the VS Code
Uh-huh.
that they even learned how to design their own themes. They learned how to design their own plugins. It was like the teacher's number one job is to raise the curiosity.
Right. That's cool. So they were excited about that and appreciated it.
Yeah. Let me show you one more thing.
Yeah.
So let's just say we open a few apps or few files. Watchman, Prettier. Yeah, Prettier is there, by the way. Everybody is excited about it. Okay. Now, can you tell me on which file I am? Easy. Even if you don't see my this pane, you know it's package.json. It's easy
Mm-hmm.
because this is not how default it comes. If I jump into other file like app.json, now the highlight is there. The border is there, the color is differentiated. So these small things, when you take a long live session and you're jumping between files and around, sometimes it's difficult for people to see why by default, okay, on which file you're working? Come on, again, one more time, please.
Yeah, and so this is where, and you customize it to highlight the tab right over here.
Yeah, the active tab, that's it. I customized it a little bit. Not too much, but enough that it solves the student's purpose.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, one more thing. Let's just say I jump up here and Please, nobody, don't get angry on me. I will, just for the demo purpose, use create React app. I know there's a lot of buzz going around on the internet about create React app, but let's just say for this time, I'll be using create React app. And I say, hey, this is awesome app, something like that. I know I missed it. Or let's just say someone app. Okay. Now I want to bring the focus of student one by one that, hey, we are not using npm install, we are using npx install. Now, not a good way of teaching. I highlight this and say, hey, bring your focus on npx. Notice we are not using npm, we are using npx.
Okay.
Next, we are using create React app. So I highlighted small customization, not too much, small customization. And now you can just highlight the things in your terminal also. I could have removed this terminal like debug console. I don't use it, so I can go ahead and remove it, but I don't do it because people are accustomed to things that comes up as a by default. And when their teacher do too much customization, people don't feel that much comfortable. So I
Got
keep it. But here in this one, I have made just enough of adjustments so that it's not bothering the student's eyes. Like it's black, obviously, but the highlight is into nice color. Before this, I tried yellow as well. I tried red as well. But this one I settled down because it's nice and good and it actually brings attention.
That's really cool. It's like all these small things like add up to make your experience really nice, and you might not even realize them until like someone points it out.
Yeah, it's the best thing is like, what's the best website when nobody complains?
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I make the experience small things. They adds up eventually, and they just make somebody's life better and easier. And that's what I do here.
Cool.
Now let me show you my first thing. Couple of settings and extensions I would like to talk about. First thing is, if you guys have not done it here, go ahead and turn this setting sync on. This is lifesaver. For everybody who is not aware of it, please go ahead and do this. This is the best settings which is rolled out because the problem is sometimes you change your system or maybe you are using GitHub code space. You want your settings and icons and everything to be same. So just turn it on. That's all. You have to forget about rest of the things.
For sure. I'm like
Okay.
looking at the comments to see if
Also,
anyone's like asking anything right now.
Sure, feel free to drop any question.
Yeah, I think we're good for now. A lot of people are just giving some compliments to you. You have some fans out there.
Yes.
Hitesh is at his best in raising the hunger to dig in more, learn more, go through documentations, write blogs, and make projects.
That's what I say. Write blogs, share the information, and make projects. That's the only way to learn code.
All right. Okay, so next example.
Couple of things I would like to bring your attention is, I keep on checking the different things and themes. For example, for my teaching purpose, a lot of coders might not like this much of the gutter width here for the line number, but for as a teacher, this is most important for me. People should be able to see these things very clearly when I say, hey, let's look at line number 24. So they should not hunt it down and it should be clear for them. So that's why I keep on exploring different themes that how they did it so that I can pick up the best one and can inject it.
Got it. By the way, a question had popped up by Gavard. Let me bring that up. My question regarding React, I learned managing global state using Redux toolkit, but didn't focus that much on using context plus reducer to do that. Do I need it, even though it's so much easy to do it in RTK?
Okay, I can answer that, although it's not related to VS Code.
Yeah.
But let me just take a minute here. See, what I always recommend is before you even go into any kind of state management, learn about how the memory is managed into the core JavaScript, especially the stack and heap. Once you understand that part, you will understand a lot about it because React doesn't do anything magic. It's just JavaScript behind the scene, a lot of abstraction over the JavaScript. And I would highly recommend you to use a little bit of context API because there are a lot of projects which don't need that much of heavy package of Redux toolkit. You can just go with the default installation of context APIs. So learn that. You cannot skip that.
Cool. Yeah,
All
so
right.
just for the chat, just want to remind you guys, like, let's try to keep the questions related to our topic at hand. I kind of felt bad. I didn't want to like ignore it, so I asked it anyway. But let's try to keep it focused on our
Yeah.
topic.
Okay. One more thing I would like to mention here is uh, what I was talking about. Yeah. There are a couple of extensions and these things that you install. I would like to bring your attention on that. That please don't mindlessly install extension just because it's written in some article which was written like 4 years ago or 3 years ago. That hey, these are the 5 best extension. Let me show you one of the best example of that. You will go to the extensions, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and then you want to click some photo. And you might have heard about this Polaroid. No, what was the extension name actually? Polar Code. Yeah, very famous one. You search for it, you go for it, and you install it. That's what you do. And you shouldn't be doing this. This is one of the perfect example. Why you shouldn't be actually doing this? Because if you look at the change log, like when it was last developed and all of that, look at this.
Yeah, several years ago.
Yeah. And if you look at this, they have actually mentioned this that, hey, it's been great and all of that. You can, all of these and all these things. It still might work for you, but there will be a lot of edge cases and scenarios where this will not work. So, what I did is I installed this one by Jeff, and look at this. The original project was developed by Pine and Peng, obviously, and was abandoned. So I picked it up when it was broke in 2019. Developer community.
Got it. So, do you always just check for every extension that you consider installing? You verify like when it
Yeah,
was last
I
updated?
pretty much always dig up into documentation. I at least see if it's just 1 year old or something. I don't mind it because sometimes there's a concept of developer too much work. Like if you keep on enhancing things, you just load a lot of code into it and make it unoptimized. So 1 year is okay for me for extensions. Sometimes they don't need. But this is one such example I want to put in on all of you that hey, think a little before referring to that list on Medium or somewhere that, hey, these are the top 5.
Got it. Good point.
So this is working nicely. And of course, I do want to give a big shout out to Pine and Peng. They did fantastic work on that. And I want to give even a bigger shout out to the developer community that, hey, somebody left a project and somebody picked it up.
Yeah. Aman Terari mentioned, he referenced Visual Studio Code on the web. Now, do you use VS Code, the online version, also, and apply some of these your approach to using that also?
Yes, I use it extensively. In fact, I have started a other channel, Chai or Code. It's about tea and code. It's totally in the regional language in India. I have not probably once or twice have even opened up the local VS Code. I've always used the GitHub code spaces in that. It's easy for me. I can just hit 2 buttons and I can just provide all the code files via my GitHub. So I do everything in that. So these days, I wanted to do my existing series of React Native also in that, but sadly, there is no option of running your uh, browser, your mobile devices on there. Otherwise, all of my React series and everything, I just do in the browser itself. It's safe and easy. Hit
Yeah,
one button, code files are with you. I can teach with my this system or other system. I don't have to worry.
nice. All right, yeah. So let's continue. What else?
Okay, one more thing. This is not a kind of a uh, you can say promotion or something, but what I personally recommend is see, I spend crazy amount of time staring at my screen, and I need this screen to look as good as possible. And a lot of people just work on colors and everything, but
Mhm.
I also go with the font as well. There are a lot of good fonts which are available for free. I use a paid one. It was gifted to me by the creator of this font, but even though I went up and I purchased my own copy just as a thanks note, because I liked it so much.
The
The
font
font
that's
that I used,
right now, is that the one that you're talking about, or you're about
yeah,
to?
this is the one that I'm using. It's a Mono Lisa. So
Okay.
this is the font that I use. I found it very easy to teach. Nice spacing, nice design in the G. I liked it so much. But again, it's not really compulsory that you have to purchase a font. But I would say that if you're spending so much time here, there are a couple of Fira code. There's one from this GitHub also. There's Monospace. There are a couple of other fonts. So my recommendation is uh, make it a little bit more energetic. Don't use the default system font. At least install something which is code-friendly font.
Mhm.
JetBrains Mono is there. A couple of other fonts are there, but at least spice it up a little and use some custom font.
Yeah, makes sense. Now the thing is, like when I saw it, I didn't even think if it was like a different font. I actually just assumed it was just because it was a little bit larger that's easier to see. And now I'm wondering how to compare. Like if you were to switch back to the default font so we could see the difference, can you do that right
Yeah,
quick?
sure. Let me just try with some other font. Uh, so if I remove this, any font name,
Uh, Whatever the default, I don't remember what the default one is.
yeah, Menlo.
Okay. Yeah, this one's a little bit harder to see. It's not as easy on the eyes as the what you
Uh,
as the Mona Lisa.
that's what I'm saying is I make only the small adjustment, but if I remove all those small adjustment, then you'll start seeing it's not that good as Hitesh's video. So small things adds up eventually.
Yeah. Okay.
Little wider.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit more.
It's the subtle difference. You cannot even say, hey, it made too much of impact, but small impacts.
Yeah, it adds up, especially if you're like you said on your computer for hours,
Yeah.
and if you're watching a lot of videos on a device like an iPad. Also, then it's even more important that it's easy to see the code.
Yeah. And it took me a lot of time to actually adjust to this font size because in the initial days, coders never like to keep font this big because they want to just pack up as much as a code in just one glance. And
Yeah.
after teaching a lot of people, I realized that nothing beats bigger font because a lot of people are watching this on mobile devices, no matter how good or crisp your video is. And I live in a country like India where internet recently penetrated, so I have to worry about people who might be watching in 480p or probably lower resolution. So
Hmm.
I eventually figured it out that nothing beats bigger font.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it might be painfully large for some developers, but reminder for everybody again, because I code, but I teach code a lot.
Cool.
Okay, a
So.
couple of highlights I would like to share from my settings, and then I'll show you some of the extensions, some of my favorite ones, which I always keep them up.
Mhm.
This is the small settings which I did with the to-do highlight, and you can see how easy it is. You install the extension, what it's like 7 to 19, like it's pretty just under 10 line of code, 10, 12 lines of code.
Mhm.
And I created these objects. Like I want to highlight the text as next video. The background color should be this. I picked it up from my own website, which is uicolorpicker.com. Another free resource where you can pick up colors. Just click copy and pick it up. And another set here, another object which says assignment. You can make your own as well. And I didn't liked it the way how it was default. I was 1 pixel. Uh, not was happy. Like I know these are small adjustment, but I preferred it to be a little rounded corner. It actually makes a little bit more sense. Sometimes it doesn't work out of the box. You have to reload the window, and then the settings applies. Common thing.
Quick question for the assignment, lines 14. What's that customizing?
See what happens is this is to do highlight keywords. So this is an array, and inside this array, you can create as many objects as you like. Each object denotes one key. This is the key next video. So wherever in your files the next video will be written, it will apply these properties to it.
Okay. Okay.
So similarly, you can just go ahead and add one more key up here and say like, I want to give it a text, and that should be YouTube, and a colon after that. And then you can add highlights, something like this. I want change the background color. So background color should be red. Not a great idea to write red like this, but you get that.
Yes. Yes.
So now I can go up here and I can just comment out something like YouTube. Oops, I have to be in caps. And oops, I added a colon. It works.
Perfect. A Solitary Henry asks about the font name. That is Mona Lisa. A
Yeah, here
Solitary.
it is.
Yeah.
The creator of this font was really kind. He sent me a free copy, but even then, still, I liked it so much. I use it every day, so I bought a personal copy for me. I think that was ethical to do.
No, for sure.
A couple of more settings that I do is what I like about the changing about the VS Code is there are a couple of settings that you can actually target. These are specifically targeted for some plugins that I installed. I'll show you. This is simple to do highlight plugin or extension that you can install. But the VS Code, if you'll read their documentation, it's actually divided into a couple of categories. And whatever you need to highlight, you have to pick up that category. For example, this is the workbench customization that I did. This is how you do the token customization. So this all is the visual highlight. So for example, this is my tab active background. I changed it like this, tab.active background, added a couple of properties. This is how I edit my terminal. I keep on changing it, depends on how the feedback is coming up or I want to experiment with something. Another set of customization is this token. So what happens is every language is designed in a way that there is this tree, and in these tree there are tokens like comments, loops, and all these. Tokenization happens, and VS Code gives you nice documentation about each thing that you want to change. So you can go up here and you can see there is a lot of changes that you want to make into this. Like you want to make a change in keywords, functions, types, variables, and then there are subtypes as well. Like I don't like, for example, let's just say I like this grayed out password schema because it's not being used, but maybe it doesn't match with your vibe. You want it to be much more grayed out. You can go ahead and change the variable name. The token customization is the key how you do it.
So what's really cool about this is like the more that you use VS Code in its natural state to customize it, the more you can start getting insight into like some simple code that some people are some simple custom modifications that people are doing in other extensions, because there are extensions specifically for making the terminal different colors, and they're essentially probably doing what you're doing right here and then wrapping it up as an extension, right?
Yeah. And one question for everybody who is watching, which is more efficient, these 4 lines of code or installing an extension? You can guess how much line of code that might be bringing in.
Exactly. So you hear that? You know me. You know me. There's someone in the chat is actually asking an extension for colorful terminals. So you can just colorize your terminals, customize them right there.
Yeah, so you know how the optimization comes in. All the optimization doesn't come from studying those DSA and lead code. Sometimes it's a common sense that just, hey, write some things instead of just bringing in.
Yeah.
So if you'll study this more, workbench customization, because there are a lot, it's not just the tab. I actually activated just the tab. But if you'll just put up these quotes, you can see now how much of the things you can actually change. Like activity bar is there, the top one. There is banner, background. There's even a badge. Like for example, right now, maybe you don't like the badge foreground color. You want them to be absolute red, You just save this and your badge foreground colors will be there. So I had to actually make some badge here. With the top where you say 1 or 2, something comes up here at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So that one will be highlighted as red. So there is so much that you can do. This is what I absolutely love about it. There is so much of the change. Window, there's a selection bar, editor. Like you can just play it around for even months and months.
Now, as you're experimenting and learning how to customize VS Code to this detail, are you usually learning this just through playing around, or are you referencing documentation online for VS Code, or both?
In the initial days, it was lot in the documentation, but now I have actually understood the theme, how the documentation was written. I don't need to go too much. I can just do it on the go with the suggestion. The intelligence which comes up with the VS Code actually helps a lot. But for anybody who is trying this out, I would recommend that please go into the documentation. They are very well written. And just look for, first of all, the theme and categorization where you're going to find. And of course, there are a lot of articles. Stack Overflow always helps still to this date. But again, try this out. There is nothing better than trying out yourself and make some project. That's the only way to learn code. It's not always about building an e-commerce project or maybe something like that. Sometimes enjoy the coding, like customizing things.
Yes. Uh, T. T. Komosky, uh, VS Code is so complex. How would you know this? So yeah, we just answered that. It's a practicing with the code editor itself and also sifting through the documentation, which they do a good job writing. And I really do appreciate it because like I've been coding for like quite some time. So I was there back in the day where the people that put the documentation together, it's like they weren't doing it for your pleasure of reading it. It was painful reading a lot of documentation. And a lot of times it was wrong, which is weird to have incorrect documentation.
Yeah. Uh, so this is really nice, and I highly recommend everybody to play around. The best part about the VS Code you're missing out is its customization. I call it hackability, but you can call it as customizability. Different world, different names. But go ahead, play around. Coding is all about enjoying it, having fun with it, and this is the best fun you can have.
Cool.
Okay, I think it's extension time that I show some of my favorite extensions that a lot of people would like to know. Okay, I would love to start with these two things. Like some of you might be wondering that why there are two versions of live server installed. I always keep them two versions. For the teaching purposes, eventually people feel better that the live server is there and I don't have to refresh and it opens up things in the browser. But what this guy did is something really fantastic. What you can see here is you can actually preview the live server just in the browser. Sorry, not the browser, VS Code itself. So I don't have to hop in or have to divide my screen in half. I can just go ahead and just open up the live server preview within the VS Code. So I found it really cool to teach HTML and stuff.
Wait, but how is that different than the regular live server?
The regular live server works in a browser. You have to open up a browser. If you look at this here, this is a browser actually. This is your VS Code. So I have to open two applications, put them side by side. This one opens it up within. Let me show you actually. That would be much more easier for you to grab. So let me just go ahead and do it quickly because it's installed. Yeah, I definitely trust. So let's just say if I go ahead and say index.html, let's go ahead and now I can go ahead and obviously open up the live server. This is the default one. But if you go ahead and use the live server, this one, and you can use this with the command palette. So everybody's favorite Command Shift P, and you have to say live server. It is right here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I love to stay in just VS Code. I don't like to go out of it.
Yeah, no, I'm pulling it up on like my screen also because I've used it and I didn't remember it pulling up a separate browser. But okay, that's cool. I'll take a look at that afterwards. Here it is. Show preview. Yeah, so like if you right click on an HTML.
If you right click, that's the way of Ritwik's live server. This is the one. But if you want to open up this one, then you have to use Command Shift P and have to write live server. This is the way how you use it. It's actually written in its documentation.
Okay. All right, cool. So what else?
Uh, to do highlight, we have already discussed a lot that how you can customize it. By default, they only provide the highlight for to do and fix me, which is great, but I like more keywords. So I showed you how you can use your keywords as well.
Nice.
And another one, which is by Ranga, another good friend of mine. This is Thunder Client. So I'm pretty sure you have used Postman for API testing.
Yeah.
This is Postman right into your VS Code.
Oh, all right.
So when it was launched at the very first time, he reached me out that, hey, Tish, I built something really cool. Would you like to test it out? I say, yeah, that's the perk of being a YouTuber. So I checked it out. I was like, I showed you just here that I don't like to get away from VS Code because it's two application. Switching between application when you are teaching can be very, very challenging. Sometimes people lose the track of, hey, you were just in the VS Code. What is this application? Please name it again. I wait a second, I need to install it or something like that. With this extension, Thunder Client, what I can do is you can just send a new request. It's as much as I need to teach. You can set your queries and you can send a request. You will get the response, whatever the API responses are. You can copy those responses. You can check the code snippet, how this is all being done. You can check the headers, cookies. This is majorly what I need. It has all the get, post, put, whatever I need, all those options. And headers are there. Maybe you want to send some authorization token, or if you want to send some bearer token, here is the bearer token. Just paste it. That's it. Prefix token is already for you.
And you don't have to
I
go
hated
anywhere.
it. I hated it absolutely when in the Postman you have to write bearer, then space, then paste the token. Like, this is way better, man. This is how Postman should adopt it.
So he showed you the preview of this before he like published it because like he knew about you. That's cool. So you get first looks at some of these new extensions.
Yeah. People reach out a lot, and I truly, truly appreciate that. How sometimes I give them the feedback as well that, hey, this could be improved or something. They get a feedback and they re-roll it out. So it helps them as well. But for me, it's always fun. And notice here in the body, I have all the format: JSON, text, form and code, both are there. Even GraphQL is there.
Wow.
Like,
That's
what
cool.
more do you want to have here? You even have collections. You can have collection runs. You have your environments that you can set up. So you can just set up a new environment variable, global environment. Like, what can I ask more?
Yeah, I could see why it's gotten popular because I think he's got like over 1 million downloads. When did he publish this? When did this get released?
It's been whiles that he published it. Let me just check. Yeah, pretty while.
Okay.
But it's fun. This is the new one, Run Collections, and I absolutely, absolutely loved it because you obviously, while testing out, you would love to run the entire collection. You can make your collections and just like this. And beauty about this is you can import these collection directly into Postman as well.
So like if you wanted to just use them both, like what would be a scenario where you still wanted to like reference Postman?
Yeah, like for example, you have written a lot of backend and you have tested out this backend entirely, but your front end team always use Postman. They somehow hate this for no reason, but there could be a case they use only Postman. You can just actually grab it and send it to them, and they can use it in the Postman.
Okay, that's cool.
All right. So, and this is also interesting. Code Runner.
Yeah, I love that one. That was one of like the first when I first got uh, word of this. I did a little video just on how useful it is.
And one more thing that is pretty much even much more useful than this is, let me show you this. I have this code file. I'll change this from HTML to something else. So this is where I was teaching DSA, data structures and algorithm. So what happens is in this is, let's just say we are teaching the classic bubble sort. You open up main.cpp. Notice this. Beautiful. Do you want to install recommended extension for C++? Just
Mm-hmm.
one click and it will show you the recommendation that this is the pack that we want. What it will bring is, you should always be looking at it. You don't want to install 1,000 different extensions. All you want while learning the code is want to bring in IntelliSense. That is all you need. You don't want to keep on writing the loop line by line. You should be focusing on how to write logic into those loops and functions. Somebody there should be, so that at least you don't bang your head around where is the missing parenthesis.
So, so what did you just show? I mean, because like by default, Visual Studio does that to, once it detects a certain language. Did you just
Every
show?
single language so far I've tested, for every language, C, C++, Java, Python, Ruby, it does it for all.
Right, right. Okay. I thought you were showing like some other extension that assisted in that in any way, because I'm like,
You
I
don't
know.
have to always go and search for the extension, and this is coming up from a reliable party. So yeah, it solves
Yeah.
your purpose.
Okay, that's cool. Oh,
Okay,
and by the
let
way, Code Runner, we just showed Code Runner just for those that just jumped on. Code Runner is an extension that facilitates being able to use all these different languages in a very
yeah,
easy
I
way.
was coming on to that code runner actually. So this is a code runner. This is pretty amazing as an extension. So if you look at the language, run C, C++, Java, of course, it's not going to magically run it from the cloud. You need that compiler to be installed in your system, and the path should be set, but it will detect it automatically if the path is
Mhm.
properly set. Is once you install this extension and keep it there, no matter what language you are learning, maybe C, C++, Java, JavaScript, you can just focus on bringing your exercise files or code files from wherever you are bringing in. This extension gives you this tiny little play button. That's
Yes,
all it does.
yes,
And you just click it and it runs. That's all.
yeah,
Like, I don't think so anything could be much more simpler than this. But given the fact that things should be installed and path should be set into your system, it's not going to magically bring Python into your path and will execute that. Not going to happen. Uh, so this is basic. So I love this extension for teaching. The reason why I love it is because I don't have to tell all of my students that, hey, bring this extension for C++, this for Java. Maybe I'm teaching in continuation, C, C++, and then Java. One extension, and I just say, hey, you know what? I taught you how to set up your environment in that video. That still exists, and that same works.
yeah. And by the way, folks, if you're executing your code and for whatever reason it's, and I know like for me, it bothered me when I saw that long path, because sometimes if I'm recording and I'm just showing a result, I don't want to show that extra long path. There is a way to go into the settings to just not display that path, and it just shows out the output in a nice clean fashion. That's me. I'm like a little picky like that. You know, I don't want to have like all this extra garbage showings if I'm just doing a nice tutorial.
Absolutely. I am also on the same page. I would love to customize this a little bit more. And these are small things which VS Code allows you. That is the beauty of VS Code, which I love absolutely about it. Customize it however you like, however you want. That's the best part about the VS Code.
Absolutely.
And what a lot of people don't know about VS Code is there are a lot of buttons right in front of you that you can actually go ahead and use. There's a lot of that. So, for example, if I just show you, if you look at the top here, you don't need to do too much. Look at this. There is a secondary bar, sidebars, and all of this is controlled by here. In case somebody has worked on Xcode in the past, this used to be only in Xcode, but VS Code actually gave you. And I haven't seen much people actually using it. There are just toggle panes. You don't need to even remember shortcuts or anything. Come back here. And even if you want to customize this thing, look at this. Just click on this. How you like. Panel, put it on the left, put it on the right. Like you don't need to search anything on Google that how can I go into settings.json and change this from left to right and how just click here. It's right in front of you.
Yeah, I'm so used to just like keeping it like as a default. I forgot that you have that flexibility. It's a good reminder.
Yeah, wherever you like, you want to have the panel alignment on left, right, center, justify, right, status bar, you want it, don't want it. Like it's all there. It's just right in front of you.
Can we go into the settings of the code runner? Someone was mentioning about cleaning out the path. I want to see if I can remember where to do this. So, like to the where it says uninstall to the right of that, there's a little settings button. Yeah, right there. Extension settings. So I think somewhere in here it mentions like the path.
Everything is just right in front of us. We can just check it, uncheck it. That's all it takes.
Yeah, tech hash is just check it, go through that area. You'll want to check into these settings and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I want to bring us to a halt, but I know it's in there.
Or you can just click on always. That's my favorite area to be in.
The JSON settings.
Yeah. It's much more faster and you can remember it. You can copy those settings somewhere in your Notion or somewhere. And whenever you need this, paste it out, done. Don't even have to check it where it is.
Cool.
I always keep the copy of this, whatever I'm updating, always in one of my Notion setting so that I don't have to keep on bothering about it. I just go into Notion, copy these settings, bring them back, and yeah, done and dusted.
So what else do you have on your plate for the extensions?
I guess that is all. This is the new extension that I'm checking these days. It's also pretty fun and cool. Let me also show you. This is coming up very soon, not yet out for public, I guess, but I'm allowed to show. I'm allowed to show.
Nice. Okay.
This is also pretty interesting area. Let me bring this up. So what this does is actually tries to predict a lot of things into your file, like what you're doing and what you're not doing. So I probably have another example here somewhere.
It tries to predict.
Yeah, you don't have to do console log basically. It just shows you in the comments that what is happening, how is it happening, and all of that. So it does it pretty nicely.
Oh, so that it actually like writes out the output in the console without you having to ask it?
Yeah. Like if I do console log up here, and if I start console ninja, probably it's still in a work in progress, and it works majorly best when you have actually some index.json or package.json file. It doesn't work that well with the regular JS file. What I've noticed is that's the feedback I've given. But if you go ahead and just work with something which has this package.json file, which in this case this one is, so you can go ahead and try to print the state or something, like you want to see what is the state value here, what this is going to do. You can do a console log here. You don't need to run it in the console. You can just start your Ninja, just like here, restart, and it will try to do all the console log for you. So you can just print out what the console log is going to be.
Cool. All right. So we're actually like, it's time for our next segment now. So I think this is a good breaking point.
Sure.
we have our segment called our lightning round. You ready
Interesting.
to enter into that?
Yeah, sure. All fun.
Cool. Producer read my mind. I'm like, so producer, she's like, boom, here's an intro. All right. So 5 quick questions I'm going to ask you. And yeah, you could probably like minimize your screen. And off the top of your head, just answer
I
first.
guess producer have to do this. Yeah, cool.
There we go. Okay, Hitesh. So first question. Scariest thing you've ever done for fun?
Scariest thing. I went into a balloon in Egypt. Shouldn't have done that because the landing was the crazy. I could have died there. No safety, nothing. But the view was good. Egypt, top pyramids, good. Shouldn't have done that.
Wow. Okay. So I guess no more balloons. A hot air balloon, right?
Yeah, hot air
Rough.
balloon. Because
Wow.
it's when it's windy, you should not be in the balloon.
Okay. I've always wanted to do that, so now I'll keep that in mind. So cool. Question number 2. Is it GIF or GIF?
It's GIF.
Very good. Very good. Well, I'm saying very good. It's very controversial, but you know, I
Yeah,
can
I'm
go
happy
with
to be in a fight of GIF, GIF, React, Angular. I'm happy to be in that fight.
that. Jason or JSON?
Jason, Jason, even the founder creator said it out loud. It's Jason.
Tabs or spaces?
Tabs. For teaching purposes, it had to be out loud, spacious. But if I'm coding a project, then I'll go for tabs. It's a lot more code on the screen.
I hear you. All right, and the last question. The first guest, if you had your own talk show, who would that be?
I I would like to bring the creator of JavaScript.
Good one. Good one. Yeah, that's an unsung hero. A lot of people might not know him unless you're deep into programming, but yeah, that would
That guy literally single handedly changed the entire internet with a language which was created within a week. Like, how he could do it. People are still trying to understand this language. Still, some of them are making memes on it and God knows what. But the way how openly he created it, it's mind blowing. It's almost a level of work what Linux did,
Mhm.
Linux Store World. So I think for the web, he did was almost a scale of Linus.
Yeah, well, I hope he gets royalties in one way or another. I don't even know how that works, but I hope he's not broke. That would be sad.
That would be very, very sad.
I'd
I
be
would love to donate a lot of my wealth to him if that is the case. I
jealous.
won't even think for a second.
Nice. Well, thanks so much, Hitesh, for joining. If more people from our stream wants to follow you, like what's your social media that they could reach out to?
Hitesh Chaudhary is my YouTube channel name, and I'm pretty much very, very active on Instagram with the handle Hitesh Chaudhary Official. That is my usually go-to. I'm active on LinkedIn as well. You can find me with the same name, Hitesh Chaudhary. I'm pretty easily searchable there too.
Nice. So, Peggy, if you have that, if you could throw that on the screen, that'd be awesome. Also, for our channel, you guys, we have our YouTube, like you're on right now, watching us, but also our TikTok channel. So you could feel free to follow us on there. So thanks again for joining, and we'll make sure to like put your URL in the show in the live stream description, so that's there if it's not coming up right now. Here it is, right here. Cool. Um, so yeah, love this stream. Thanks for joining, and everybody, we will see you on the next one.
Thank you so much for having me.